What is going on, guys? Welcome to another edition of FanDuel Friday, sponsored by the good folks at FanDuel and RotoGrinders. And we're here bringing you another edition of football. We are week 17 now. We're almost at the very, very end of this regular season. This very crazy regular season that has had its highs and its lows. But nonetheless, we're here to give you some great picks and hopefully give you some strategy to take down some tournaments today on FanDuel. I'm with my guy, as always, TJ Zwarych. How's everything going?
Going well. When you got that cold going, you sound like you could be reading an audiobook or something. Like it's very somber. It's nice. It's relaxing. It's calming. Ready to break down this slate with you. We got a fun little one. Lots of injuries, lots of backup QBs, but hopefully we can parse our way through here and find something we want to play.
Yes, definitely for sure. That's where we're going to actually begin. It's with the QBs here. We are going to go. We are going to start off with the best QBs on the slate, or the most expensive, I should say, and Patrick Mahomes, who gets a matchup that we just saw a couple weeks ago against the Denver Broncos. And as you know, they had just fired their head coach, and pretty much now Russell Wilson also on the opposite played his best game of the season, probably in this matchup too as well. But as far as him, let's get to this Patrick Mahomes real quick. What do you think about him? How is he grading out for you, or working, or how are you like looking at him today on the slate?
I mean, he's the top dog, but I actually still think I view him a little bit behind Justin Fields. Now, I was real wrong with Fields last week. I thought he was going to be running all over the Bills in bad weather, and I don't know what was going on in that game. They were just having him drop back in the pocket to pass. It was not working at all. I was mind blown how little that he was rolling out, but hopefully that won't be the case against Detroit. Obviously, we're not having to worry about as severe of weather, much less fearsome defense with Detroit than the Buffalo Bills. So Fields, I think, is my top option on the board, whether I was doing a single entry, whether I was doing cash, and he would definitely be my most heavily owned QB if I was running 150.
Yeah, Justin Fields is, I think, a great option. Gets a matchup inside the dome, which the blitz. If you have RotoGrinders, you should get the blitz projection. It's probably the best. It's the best projection to me in the industry. But they're gonna love this matchup. He's probably going to grade out the best quarterback because of that reason. And I get that. Patrick Mahomes though had, I think, one of his best games of the season against this team. Um, a fairly good game, not his best game as far as fantasy production wise, but it was a competitive game for once for him. 3 interceptions, which we hardly ever see happen out of Patrick Mahomes here. Um, but it's a good defense, but that defense might be falling apart. That team might have just quit, overall for the season. So I don't mind him as an option this week. 9K is expensive to pay for him, but I do like the option that he's mentioned the field. So he probably would be the top choice, obviously. But what do you think about these other guys? Obviously, we got Trevor Lawrence, who's questionable coming to this game against Houston. Kirk Cousins in the matchup, pretty much for it all. I think if they win, don't they? I believe if Minnesota wins, they can lock up. I think playoff positioning seed, if I'm correct. I have to look at that again. But I think that he's also in a good position too. Gardner Minshew, who got Minshew Mania back, and against our team, the New Orleans Saints here, with Jared Goff. What are you looking at with those options over there?
I mean, if Lawrence plays, he's going to be probably my second favorite, followed by Goff as my third favorite option today. I don't think I really want to mess around with any of these backups. We got some of the higher end quarterbacks playing in domes. I think that's just kind of where I want to roll. I'd be getting to some Mahomes running a lot of lineups as well. I'd make sure to be over the field. However, I think he would fall behind the wayside for me just because of that price. But I don't think I'd really want to be messing around too much with the various backup QBs we have. I don't want to play Tom Brady. I never want to play Tom Brady right now. Geno Smith's been so bad lately playing against a tough Jets defense. Maybe a little Aaron Rodgers against Minnesota, but do I really want to do that either? He hasn't had that strong of a season. To me, this just feels like a don't get cute spot at QB. If you're playing lots of lineups, yeah, I will mix in a couple Green Bay stacks, a couple Jet stacks, maybe a few Giant stacks or Eagle stacks. But for the most part, if I'm only running 1 to 10 lineups, it's Fields by a mile. Then it's Lawrence, Mahomes, and Goff in tier 3. And then my tier 4, I think it'd be Mike White, Aaron Rodgers, and Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, I think Mike White has to be up there for me, especially because the Seattle defense, that is susceptible a little bit to the passing game and a little bit of the run game. So I don't mind that option there. We got a couple high totals here as well. Besides that, but let's move on to the running back position, where we have obviously Christian McCaffrey headlining it at 9,500, as well as Saquon Barkley going against the Indianapolis Colts here at 9,200. Then we obviously got Josh Jacobs, Dalvin Cook, and James Conner's rock out to round out the 8K and above range. What do you like out of those top 5 guys here on the slate? Or are you getting something else?
No, I said it's a kind of a don't get cute spot at quarterback, but I kind of feel that way about the whole slate. It's week 17. We got so many backups. I think a lot of people are going to be messing around, trying to do some extreme stars and scrubsy stuff. And to be honest, that's the type of stuff I've been doing all season. And I think it's been why I haven't been as successful this year, because I've noticed this when we were doing the FanDuel Friday show with Luch for basketball today. And I talked about it, but they're way sharper on pricing people up this year. And it's not just basketball, it's all sports. Like, the cap has been soft the last couple years on FanDuel, and you can kind of get to whoever you wanted. It's really not this year. It's become a lot more difficult to play. And I think I've done a poor job of adapting to that this year and just still trying to get a little bit too stars and scrubsy, as opposed to just filling my lineups with good players within the salary cap, as opposed to, because I want to get a star, taking a shot on somebody who doesn't project very well and hoping they do well, and it just not coming to fruition. So Christian McCaffrey is my top option. I think Kenneth Walker, even though it's against the Jets, $6,700 is just too cheap. Like, him and Miles Sanders, I think, are kind of that nice cash sort of range where I'd be looking to go. Hopefully you get up to McCaffrey, but if you can't, you're feeling pretty good with Walker and Sanders. James Conner against Atlanta isn't bad, but I think I really am like, I'm in tournaments. I have a lot of interest in these Atlanta backs against Arizona, and David Blow, however you say his name. I'm in. Like, Arizona's kind of defeated. Both of these backs should get a lot of work without Chase Huntley in there anymore, especially Tyler Algier. And so he's my favorite, but I would want to mix in some Cordell Patterson as well. I like some Travis Etienne, but now the biggest one I think that I really want to get to in bunches is going to be Brian Robinson. I think he's going to be my favorite running back on the slate, with the news that Antonio Gibson's not going to be playing.
Yeah, that was big news that I wasn't expecting to have happen. So that match was Cleveland. Sorry, Cleveland's front line is a little bit banged up themselves. Cloudy, I think, might play, but I know he was questionable, I think, because of illness, if I'm correct. Which obviously you see the way I sound is going everywhere around the Northeast area, and also probably just the North in general.
Man, just everywhere.
Yeah, it's just everywhere. But so yeah, I agree with the guys that you said. I like all those guys a lot. Like, I don't know if we have to pay up. I think you said the pricing is a lot sharper in general, which fares better for me personally. I like, because I think it's like, I think this game is really more of a thinking man's game. You have to be able to think, how can you get different? Where can you deviate from the chalk or from the higher old plays? And why not play a guy like Dalvin Cook? That's the play. I know it's 8-3. No one's playing him. We're all going to be focused on the passing game if you're going to play it, or be passing it for this game for Minnesota in particular, but also in this running back range. Like, I know everyone's going to big the mid-range build and stuff like that and play a little bit down on running back, but Dalvin Cook is in a great spot here.
Dalvin Cook and Aaron Jones, I think, both in this game give me a lot of interest. Like, I'd rather just get way over the field on somebody like Justin Fields and Patrick Mahomes, and then just get also over the field on these running games, as opposed to trying to stack the offense, trying to stack the passing games at this low ownership. Because, like, think about how well that idea even pairs together. I never really like pairing opposing running backs together, but we assume that the Vikings are going to be winning this game. So have it be on the back of Dalvin Cook. And then Aaron Jones, the reason I like him is because I think Green Bay is going to be coming from behind and he'll still likely be involved, but he'll probably be the back that's more involved than A.J. Dillon if they are coming from behind.
Yeah, exactly. So, which is why I love the spot for Dalvin Cook here this week. I think they win. So, I'm going to play that angle a lot of it too. And then also a guy like, then also we have this other guy here that I like a little bit further down the list. I don't mind taking a few shots on a guy that's coming back with Kenneth Walker. I know he's gonna be popular, but I don't know, is he really gonna be 14%? Like the Jets are a good defense. Don't get me wrong, but they are a little bit bent but don't break defense. You can still run on them and get a nice chunk of yardage. And Kenneth Walker is, I think, a talented back here. Coming back from injury, I think that he can obviously have a good game in this spot, and I think his price is too cheap for the talent level that he is at. So if he's going to come in, I think he's coming. I personally think he's going to come in lower than 14%. So I don't mind taking some shots on him, but I don't know. Well, what are your thoughts on Kenneth Walker?
Yeah, he's one of my favorite backs on the slate. I also really like Ramondre Stevenson if he plays, and then if he doesn't, I think Damian Harris is interesting.
Yeah.
And somebody, Creighton has tagged as well that I think was a very strong play for the same reasons we were talking about liking Dalvin Cook is Jerick McKinnon.
Yes, Jeremy McKinnon definitely for sure. So let's get on to the wide receiver position. I think we touched on enough of running back. Chris McCaffrey, Barkley are always going to be good plays, in my opinion. It's just I think that their price points are just too high for the slate. They have to have like 3 touchdowns to really pretty much make value today, in my opinion. But wide receiver, obviously, we have a plethora of wide receivers going here. Devontae Adams with no Derek Carr, Tyreek Hill with no Tua Tagovailoa. Uh, how do you feel about those two? Obviously, we got Justin Jefferson, the best guy on the field, and Amon-Ra St. Brown and A.J. Brown with another backup, which I don't think we're worried about Gardner Minshew. But these other guys, how do you feel about those guys today on the slate?
Before we even get to the receivers, I just want to I'm so thankful you said the word a plethora of receivers because I can't remember what I was talking about, but I was on Grinders Live and I said a plethora of something, whether it was value or something for NBA. And somebody comments in the chat and they go, plethora? What's that? A Canadian thing?
Oh,
and
no.
I was like, I'm pretty sure that's everywhere, man. Like, I just don't think. Yeah, I think you just have maybe a limited vocabulary, but I don't think that's a Canadian thing. And I didn't say it. I just thought it. And so I'm so happy that you said it as well, just to confirm that I'm not crazy. And that is something that is said everywhere. But
that is definitely something that's said everywhere.
Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think, is like my priority. He is the first guy I'd be plugging into optimals. And then the second one I'd be wanting to put in would be Garrett Wilson. Facing up against Seattle, to me, he should be super popular. 7-3. He's got Mike White back. When Mike White is playing, you play Garrett Wilson. It's that simple. And I don't think he's picking up quite enough ownership. Amon-Ra St. Brown, I feel like goes perfectly with Justin Fields. You pair some Garrett Wilson in there, not very expensive. And those are going to be my top options on the slate at the receiver position. Pardon me. If Trevor Lawrence plays, I like Christian Kirk and I like Zay Jones. If he doesn't, I'm not really going to get to either of them. Tyler Lockett at $6K is just the best FanDuel value on the slate. His price was low because he wasn't expected to be back this quick. Guess what? He's back this quick. And so even with a semi-broken hand, I don't care. It's Tyler Lockett at $6K. That is obscenely too cheap. The optimal lineup, I feel like, sort of just kind of starts building itself at QB and receiver this week, and it makes things a lot easier to choose what you want to do with the rest of your positions.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Like you said, it's just straightforward. It's just pretty straightforward. Like, I know we got to probably play some other people, but I want to play people with meaningful positions and meaningful games. So Devontae Adams is someone I'm not going to play a lot of. I don't know how I feel about the Tyreek Waddle situation. I think Teddy B can still get to the ball, but it's still going to be a little bit tough. I'm not playing New Hopkins, even though I think his price is a little bit too high for me personally.
And I don't even think he's going to end up playing. The one thing I want to say quick with the Waddle and Hill situation is I like getting a Waddle a lot more than I do Hill. One, because it's New England. We know how much they try and just take away the number one option. But also, with it being Teddy Bridgewater, I just feel so much more comfortable paying 7-7 for somebody as opposed to 9K. Yeah. And so I would way rather go to Waddle in this spot. It's just interesting, though. Like we talk about, we usually go through so many more plays, right? Like we talk about the ways that you can try and get real different. But on this slate, like I'm sure we'll see a bit more concentrated of ownership, but like Justin Fields, we're projecting for sub 10%. Tyler Lockett and Amon-Ra St. Brown, yeah, they're going to be somewhat chalky around 20, but Garrett Wilson, we're projecting for sub 15. We're still seeing spread out ownership, but to us, the plays seem like they should be super concentrated, and they're not all that concentrated. So that just kind of tells me I want to let other people screw up this week, and I just want to pick the stuff that to me looks the best. Terry McLaurin's been our guy, but we got Carson Wentz back. We don't want to go to Terry McLaurin with Carson Wentz in the starting lineup.
Exactly.
These Jacksonville guys, well, if we don't get Lawrence, we don't want to play them. It's kind of slim pickings out here. I like a guy like Brandon Ayuk in tournaments. But like for the most part, I just want to stick with these main guys we've been going with. A little Rashid Shaheed for value. For sure, I'm in. But it's going to be a tight receiving pool for me this week.
I kind of like, what about Drake London? I like him. With this backup quarterback, we've been seeing a lot of targets to Drake London. Like more consistent targets, and he's been catching them. So I think I like Drake London a lot. And also, obviously, with the tight end being out as well, but I think he's a valuable option on both sides. He obviously needs a touchdown more on FanDuel, but at 6-7, he easily get the end zone. I think against Arizona and have a field day.
His price tag on FanDuel just makes him a little too tough for me to want to get to all that much. He would be in my pool. I think he's got a nice floor. It's just when your quarterback's not going to throw much more than 200 yards, I just feel like his ceiling is not all that high. He's going to get the 10 targets, but it's just unless he gets the 2 or 3 touchdowns, it's probably only going to be 50, 60, 70 yards.
True, but this is a spot where I think he could have that type of game against Arizona.
I don't mind it, but I do like the running game a little bit more. But I'm going to have a tight pool, and he's going to be included in it. So, like, I'm saying I don't love him, but I still, I guess, like him more than 90% of the other receivers.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Like, it's just like you said, a slim pickings of guys that you want to go with here today, and understandably so. So, DJ Shark, I think it's a great play. Anyone on Detroit, I think is a great play. I think
we're probably just going to see Sauce Gardner on DK Metcalf too, and just 6K at Tyler Lockett. I'm just enamored by that. Like, this to me feels like either a single entry week or just go big on my MMEs and like get overweight on a very, very small pool. Play 15 total different receivers in 150 lineups, like something like that, and just really, really go in. I don't know. I've been trying to be smart lately with my bankroll. We got life taken over. We got bills to pay, busy things. I quit my teaching job this year, so I had to withdraw from the account and be a smart adult. But slates like this, it is tempting to just get in there and take some big stands.
Well, yeah, if you take some big stands, they can also pay off big well for you. So, that's something that you have to try to just balance out away a little bit, to just maybe if you can't do sports betting on the side, make it up, have it covered on that end too as well, which is what I play, which I do a lot of. But also, what about you guys, Jameson Williams? I just brought him up pretty briefly on the screen, put him back down. I think he could be an interesting deep if you're running 150 tournament player of the week. I just want to bring that up and mention that. So briefly, but let's move on.
Trying to pull him up here. I want to see how many targets did he get last game.
I think only one, if anything. But let me check.
Yeah, that one game I called it. That was his only catch of the season, and it was for the 40-yard touchdown. That's funny. Yeah, I mean, if I was playing 150, I don't hate that idea because if I'd probably play a couple Jared Goff stacks where I'd run it with 3 different pass catchers. And if you're running my 150, I love taking those types of shots.
150, I definitely take some shots because he's still going to be out there running routes for sure. Move on to tight end here, where obviously we have Travis Kelce headlining the group of tight ends here. George Kittle, TJ Hawkinson, Taysom Hill, Mark Andrews, Dallas Goedert, and Evan Ingram and Juwan Johnson are rounding out the top tight ends in my opinion. Don't know if I really want to get any lower than that. Maybe Cole Kmet because we know that's Justin Fields' guy to target. But other than that, what do you like about those groups, and who's standing out to you as your favorite?
Cole Kmet and Tyler Conklin, those are guys I would keep in the pool just because the quarterbacks are in the pool. Heck, maybe just I would even keep somebody like Shane Zylstra in my pool just because Jared Goff is there with his random 6 targets and 5 receptions and 3 touchdowns last week. But I definitely wouldn't get too carried away and trying to get lots of them or anything like that. But my priority would be these top guys. And then if Trevor Lawrence plays Evan Ingram, like they've just had insane chemistry lately. It's continuing. It keeps happening. I'm not going to mess around and I just play Evan Ingram. For large field GPPs, I think my favorite would probably be Taysom Hill. And then I think I would want to get to a lot, maybe not a lot, but definitely way over the field with how low owned he's coming in, currently sub 5% on a guy like Darren Waller. He's super duper cheap. We got Jarrett Stidham starting for Vegas here. We don't know who his main target is going to be. We don't know how he's going to look out here. I don't want to play Stidham, but Darren Waller is a guy that price is too cheap for his talent, and I'd want to take some shots in GPPs.
Whew, salute to you for that one, because I am saying as far away from anyone on Vegas as possible.
I am, except for Waller, just because like Jacobs and Adams, they're expensive. So that's a very risky chance. But a guy like Darren Waller at 5.5, that's not that much of a risk.
True, but they say they wanted to go with their younger, see what they have in their younger guys on the roster. So Waller might be just someone that might sit out, even though he's coming back from an injury. We'll have to see. I don't know, but I like all the top guys for the most part. Evan Ingram, I think, is a good option. Goddard, I'm really interested in Taysom Hill this week.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
he's my favorite for GPPs.
Like even if he gives us 11 to 10 at his price point, and because it's probably with a touchdown or something, but that I just feel like he's gonna have one of these games where he has like 3 touchdowns.
Just like how often do you get tight ends that you just don't, that you're guaranteed 5 to 8 touches for? You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
A couple of these games he was coming back from injury. This week we had Kamara a bit banged up in practice, stuff like that. I love Taysom for tournaments. He's a guy that just never goes owned enough on FanDuel where he's got that tight end position.
Yeah, so he would be someone I would roster a lot of. And Juwan Johnson, I think he would be someone else I want to take advantage of and get a lot of too as well. Here and George Kittle, I want to get well over the field on a guy like George Kittle. I
do too.
As long as I think he's gonna be Purdy's number 1 option. As long as we have Deebo Samuels continue to be out, so we can see another blow up game from him on this slate here. So George Kittle would be someone I want to get to a lot of in my GPP lineups today as well.
I'm with you there. He is somebody I definitely want to get way overweight on, like probably at least 20% of them in tournaments. And then the last guy I'd want to touch on in tournaments as well, if you're looking for a cheap option, would be Jelani Woods for Indianapolis, with Kyle Granson ruled out once again for the Colts. He got, like, Nick Foles looked terrific, but Kyle Granson got 5 targets in that game. A lot of red zone look, and that's pretty good for somebody who is $4,700. Man, I don't know about defense. I never know about defense. Flip a coin, pick a number out of a hat, go with them.
Yeah, I agree with that one, but I think really if you can't get to San Francisco, get Stidham, get there.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I have to say about defense. I don't think there's much defense that I want to try to target.
Pick one of the defenses against the backup quarterbacks, and in a large field thing, if you're playing a cash game, play the Chiefs because they're going to be the highest owned, and if you're not, don't.
Exactly. That's the way I look at it on defense, and that's it. So before we get ready to get out of here, who is your favorite stack? Or let's say we'll do, I guess, a bold prediction. Favorite stack, and who you think takes it all down this weekend?
So, okay, actually, here's a question for you beforehand because, like, why isn't the Charger and Rams game on the slate?
I got flexed to the late night game.
So it's just
Did I get flexed to the late night game?
that's like kind of what I thought, but like it's still scheduled for 3 p.m. on if you look at schedules. I took them in an underdog draft, and so that's why I was confused about it. But that's okay. If I'm stacking, it would be Detroit. It would be Jared Goff, and his pass catchers, Amon-Ra St. Brown, get into a little bit of DJ Chark, get into a little bit of Reynolds, but it'd be the main guy from the main stack for me, I think, would be Detroit. Although my favorite way to go is just go with Fields and then run it back with one of the Detroit pass catchers on the other side.
Okay, I kind of agree with you, but I'm just gonna be different just because I want to say something different. I think a Trevor Lawrence stack wins it all this week. One of my favorite GPP stacks of the week as well. And I think that game, the Rams Chargers, was in prime time and it got flexed out of it. So by that time, it was already released. So they had to, the lines were already released. They probably had to just flip flop it. That's all.
Garrett Wilson will have 180 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Shoot, that's a very bold call. And I'm going to say Jameson Williams will score another touchdown this week.
We need to get like matching Jameson Williams jerseys if that happens.
I know if it really does happen, I'm definitely gonna get a jersey for sure, and I'm gonna put some money on it this week because I didn't get a chance to last time when it happened. So,
if you win a GPP, you better send me a jersey too.
Definitely will for sure. So, but that's it for us today or this evening. Good night, good morning to whenever you guys watch this. We hope you guys win some money, and if you have any questions, feel free to inbox us, obviously, on my Twitter, on Drizzy26_DFS, or TJ_Zwarych5 on Twitter as well. And also check out his agents of FanDuel. There's great content over there he's putting out there. And hopefully I'll have my announcement soon, in a couple of weeks. We'll see. Stay tuned. But yeah, good night, good luck, and have a good one.